Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, August 13th. The very wet weather pattern continues for much of the Mid-Atlantic region. There were heavy downpours yesterday extending from D.C. to across the Delmarva Peninsula into southern and central New Jersey, all around the southeastern part of Pennsylvania, the Philly metro region. This same area from D.C. to central New Jersey, including the Philadelphia metro region, has a chance for additional heavy rainfall today. In fact, some is falling right now across the D.C. metro region, and given the very well saturated grounds, localized flash flooding is a real concern. We had some issues yesterday in Northern Virginia, for example. There was some damage done with the heavy rainfall, opening up a sinkhole on a roadway in Manassas Park. And tropical light downpours will continue throughout the day today into tonight, and the threat continues on Friday and Friday night as well. The New York City region is just on the northeastern extent of the heaviest rainfall. Looks like New York City, the immediate New York City metro region, will probably escape from the heaviest and steadiest of the rainfall. Will again fall generally from central New Jersey across southeastern Pennsylvania and include the Delmarva Peninsula and all the way down to the D.C. metro region. Before we focus in on the heavy rain threat in the Mid-Atlantic region, let's first touch upon the tropics. We have a lot to talk about this morning. First of all, on the tropical scene, we do have tropical depression number 11. It quite likely could become a tropical storm within the next 24 hours or so. If so, it would become the 10th named storm of the 2020 tropical season, and that would be Josephine. It does look like its longer term prospects are still questionable. Eventually, maybe 3, 4, 5 days from now, it looks like it'll run into increasing wind shear, and that would cause it to weaken, probably from tropical storm status back down to depression, before ever getting a chance to make it to the southeastern part of the U.S. Here is the location this morning. Really did not change much in intensity over the last 24 hours. Maximum sustained winds yesterday morning of 35 miles per hour. Same thing this morning. Same movement, generally westerly to maybe a little bit north of west, about 15 miles per hour or so. This is the latest forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. No real reason to disagree with this. Again, the S here represents an intensification from its current tropical depression status to tropical storm status. But notice here, they put it back as a depression. Again, it should encounter some more wind shear once it reaches this position. It kind of gets awfully close for comfort, though. It's certainly something that we will monitor closely over the next few days. This, again, should take place, the weakening, maybe 4 or 5 days from now, with what very likely will become the 10th named tropical storm of the season, Josephine. It's been kind of an unusual tropical season in that we have had a record number of named storms for this stage of the hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin, 9 so far, but only 2 of those have become hurricanes, and even those 2 were hurricanes just for a brief period of time. Now, let me add a caveat that we've learned through experience that you can get a lot of damage with a tropical storm. In fact, Isaias, which was one of the 2 hurricanes of the season, the other being Hannah, which moved into the southern part of Texas a few weeks ago, Isaias did most of its damage while in tropical storm phase from the Carolinas all the way up across the northeastern part of the nation. In fact, there's still many areas without power in the northeastern part of the nation from what at that time was Tropical Storm Isaias. Any longtime resident from Pennsylvania knows full well the potential damage of a tropical storm. Of course, the probably most famous one that impacted Pennsylvania was Tropical Storm Agnes, which too was a hurricane for a brief period of time, but it did its most damage while it was tropical storm status way back in June of 1972. In that case, it was widespread flooding. In the case of Isaias, it was very strong winds that caused numerous power outages from the Carolinas all the way up to New England. Oh, enough about the tropics. Let's now focus in on the heavy rain threat, the flash flooding threat for parts of the Mid-Atlantic region. This is a map we showed yesterday from NOAA's Mesoscale Analysis website, where what I'm showing here is a precipitable water. This is really a reflection of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere that can be squeezed out of the atmosphere if there is some kind of a lifting process. And in this particular case, we have a stalled out frontal boundary zone with several areas of low pressure moving along that frontal boundary zone. That is providing enough lift in the atmosphere to squeeze out the available moisture. And the higher the number here, the more moisture available, and it gives you an idea of how much rain could fall. And the highest amounts, again, in and around the DC metro region, this is at 2.2 inches. That's very high precipitable water amounts. Notice also the radar echoes. Already some heavy rain falling around the DC metro region. Now, when you get north and west of, let's say, central Pennsylvania, this is dry air. And this is why the immediate New York City metro region is kind of on the northern extreme of the steadiest and heavy rainfall. You see some decent rain right now across central New Jersey, but New York City may escape the steadiest and heavy rainfall just to their south and west from, let's say, where it is falling right now: central New Jersey, southern New Jersey, all of southeastern and east central Pennsylvania in the threat zone for heavy rainfall and flash flooding, and the entire Delmarva Peninsula and DC metro region. This whole area right here, which got hit yesterday with those tropical downpours, can get hit again today. In fact, again, some heavy rainfall already falling. And this precipitable water map shows the area where there's a lot of moisture able to be tapped into to produce significant rainfall in DC, Philadelphia, all the way up to, let's say, Trenton, maybe just to the south and west of New York City. Here's a current radar loop. Again, some heavy rain falling already north and west of Philly, across central part of New Jersey. Again, just to the south and west of New York City. They certainly can get in on some of the rain, but it looks like the steadiest, heaviest stuff maybe just to their south and west. But look at across DC already, some heavy rain falling this morning. And of course, all of these areas have had heavy rain over the past several days. Last week, of course, Tropical Storm Isaias dumped all kinds of rainfall on this part of the country, with as much as 6 or 7 inches of rain in the suburbs of Philadelphia, for example. And heavy rainfall yesterday morning caused damage with localized flash flooding across northern Virginia. That same area is getting hit again this morning. Again, all that could extend up across the Delmarva Peninsula and southeastern part of Pennsylvania later on this morning, all the way through the afternoon and evening hours. And indeed, the threat for downpours continues, it looks like, on Friday and Friday night in the same general region. Well, what kind of rainfall amounts are we talking about? This is the forecast map by NOAA for the next 48 hours, from this morning, Thursday morning, to Saturday morning. So it only includes a 2-day period. And we have some purple showing up in the DC metro region. That is really talking about 2+ inches of rain. And that's an understatement. There can be some spots that get several inches of rain in this particular pattern. Notice the heaviest of the rainfall stays maybe just to the south and west of New York City, which is located here. But if you're in central or southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, all the way across the Delmarva to the DC metro region, this whole region right here can get a few to as much as several inches of rain over the next few days, and that goes on top of very wet grounds. Soil moisture is abnormally high, and that is one of the reasons why we have a serious concern for additional localized flash flooding over the next couple of days. Well, let's now take a look at some computer forecast maps. I wanted to start off with the 500 millibar height anomalies from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. And this initialized at 0Z last night, so it's the earlier evening ensemble run of the GFS. And again, we're looking at 500 millibar height anomalies. And the main thing I want to point out here is all of this rain is really as a result of a pattern change that's evolving right now. We are definitely moving into a little bit cooler of a weather pattern here. It will not be as warm today in DC, Philadelphia, New York City as it has been in recent days. Looks like it'll be a struggle to reach 90 degrees for afternoon highs for the next several days, even in the DC metro region. And we'll see in a moment here a very large upper level trough will form in the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley over the next few days. Cooler than normal air for this time of the year, including in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday look like cooler than normal days in the I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City and throughout the Mid-Atlantic region and throughout the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and the Tennessee Valley, where it will also be cooler than normal. And again, the transition is part of the reason why we're experiencing this very unsettled weather pattern. We're starting off the day here today with upper level ridging over the Mid-Atlantic, over the Northeast U.S. But watch what happens here as we progress into first Friday. Notice this deep upper level trough quickly forming, quickly intensifying over the Tennessee Valley region by tomorrow morning. And that continues to be a major player here into Saturday morning. Again, this whole area will be experiencing cooler than normal temperatures as this upper level trough intensifies over this part of the nation. It will also be cooler than normal to the coast in the Mid-Atlantic region. High temperatures much closer to the 80-degree mark Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, compared to 90-plus degrees that we experienced over the past several days. Let's move a little bit farther ahead, and here we go. We have this upper-level trough extending now from south central Canada all the way down into the Gulf region as we begin the day on Sunday. So all of this contributes to unsettled weather for much of the Mid-Atlantic region and a pattern change in terms of temperatures from the 90-plus degrees to cooler than normal conditions as we end the work week and go into the upcoming weekend. Well, let's now take a look at the operational GFS from 6Z. We're just looking at the surface forecast maps. One key player I want to point out right off the bat, this high pressure system here over headed towards southeastern Canada. That's a crucial player. That adds to the cool down here in the Mid-Atlantic region over the next several days. And anytime you have a high to the north, you can expect maybe cooler conditions compared to the Bermuda high sitting off the east coast of the U.S. or over the western Atlantic Ocean. But already unsettled conditions with some heavy rainfall even early this morning across the D.C. metro region, central New Jersey, picked up by the overnight run of the GFS. Let's move forward here. And basically, you saw, let's just go back here, low waves of low pressure moving up along the stalled out frontal boundary zone. And again, that's providing enough lift in the atmosphere to squeeze out the available moisture where the precipitable water amounts are very high in D.C., southern New Jersey, southeastern Pennsylvania, for example. Let's keep moving forward here. Pretty much widespread coverage of showers and thunderstorms. And not everybody gets hit at all times. This is not an all-day rainy type of weather pattern, but if you do get hit, you get hit hard in this kind of a pattern because all these showers and thunderstorms will be slow movers. The overall wind field is rather weak. Slow-moving rainfall, slow-moving showers and thunderstorm cells all add to the prospects for significant rainfall amounts and localized flash flooding, and that will be the same sort of pattern tonight and tomorrow as well. Let's move forward into Friday morning. One wave of low pressure moving off the coast, but look at this. We have it's kind of a reinforcement of that low pressure area by later tomorrow, with again maybe just to the south and west of the New York City metro region, the best chance for the steadiest and heaviest rain from central New Jersey all across southeastern PA into the DC metro region. Let's keep moving forward here. Notice this strong high across southeastern Canada by Saturday morning. That's good news for places like New York City and New England. It'll dry out even more by the weekend with comfortable temperatures for this time of the year, and it will also contribute to the cool down in Philadelphia and D.C. Again, highs closer to 80 degrees by the time we get to the weekend as compared to the 90-plus degrees that we had earlier this week. But look, another low pressure area here as we begin the weekend, and indeed That could result in some more heavy rainfall over the upcoming weekend, especially in the same regions that are getting hit hard today and yesterday and probably tomorrow as well. And here we go, some heavy rainfall depicted here over the upcoming weekend. This is by Sunday morning, with strong high pressure to the north and east and low pressure sitting over the mid-Atlantic region. That is a recipe for flash flooding. If we get indeed this kind of heavy rainfall over the upcoming weekend, following what we had yesterday, following what we can get today and tomorrow, indeed a real concern for flash flooding over the upcoming weekend. We'll move a little bit farther ahead, and that pulls on out off to the east. Let's hope there's some drier conditions coming to this very wet area of the country here in the at least the southern half of the mid-Atlantic region. It does look like it may dry out by the early part of next week, but between now and then, lots of heavy rainfall in the area from central, southern New Jersey across southeastern Pennsylvania, east central Pennsylvania, the Delmarva Peninsula, all of northern Maryland, northern Virginia, the D.C. metro region over the next few days. So watch out for localized flash flooding. If you see high water levels on the roadway, don't even take a chance. Just turn around from any kind of high water on roadways over the next 48 to 72 hours or so. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.